You have been conditioned to believe that life is something you must control. If you do not manage every detail, things will fall apart. However, take a step back and ask yourself, who is the you that is trying so hard to orchestrate life? What, exactly, are you controlling? Everything that occurs unfolds on its own. The sun rises, your heart beats. Thoughts appear and disappear, all without any effort on your part. The same intelligence that moves the tides and grows. The trees also moves you. Yet, the mind interrupts and claims authorship as if it alone is running the show. The truth is, life happens effortlessly. Your only responsibility is to allow it to do so. This is the essence of surrender, not forcing or resisting, but permitting life to be exactly as it is. You are not the doer, you never were. If you examine closely, you will notice that what you refer to as your life is merely a series of thoughts arising in awareness. These thoughts create a sense of self, a persona that must achieve, fix, and manage things. However, that persona is just a mental construct, a narrative. The mind tells itself, who were you before the thought, I am this person, emerged? What remains when all thoughts fade away is pure presence, silent, spacious awareness. This is your true essence. The moment you recognize this fact, the need to control diminishes. Life is no longer an affair taking place to you. It is simply unfolding, and you are the witnessing presence in which it occurs. Herein lies the paradox. When you relinquish control, life flows more smoothly. The struggle dissipates, and everything begins to align, flawlessly, without effort. It was never your role to run the universe. You were merely obstructing its natural flow. You may wonder, if I stop controlling, won't everything fall apart? Look around you. Has life ever genuinely remained under your control? Did you select your thoughts before they appeared? Did you determine the precise sequence of events that led you here? Or did things simply happen moment by moment? The mind resists this truth because it craves a sense of authority. Nevertheless, the deeper reality is that you are never the doer. The river flows whether you struggle against it or choose to float with it. So, what occurs when you cease struggling? You find relaxation. Life flows through you effortlessly. Situations unfold as they ought to, without your interference. Decisions are made and actions occur, but they no longer stem from stress or fear. Instead, they arise naturally from the flow of life itself. This state is not passivity, it is freedom, responding to life as it comes, devoid of resistance and without attachment to outcomes. Most people fail to recognize that their suffering originates from resisting what is. They believe peace will be attained once they arrange life in a specific manner, solve this problem, achieve that goal, or rid themselves of a certain feeling. Yet, the chase is endless. True peace is not found in controlling life. It is found in letting go of the need to control. Imagine watching a movie. You may experience joy, sadness, or excitement, yet deep down, you know you are merely a viewer. You do not feel compelled to rewrite the script. You are not imprisoned by the story. Life is no different. It unfolds on its own, just like a film. The moment you realize you are not immersed in the narrative, but are the awareness witnessing it, the conflict ceases. Life occurs, but you remain untouched. Letting go does not render life empty or devoid of meaning. In fact, it is quite the opposite. When you stop resisting the flow, life unfolds with an ease and clarity that was always present, even if you did not recognize it. Decisions occur, but they arise organically, free from stress. Actions are undertaken without fear or urgency. You move, speak, and interact with the world, but there is no inner turmoil. It is like observing the body and mind functioning autonomously, because that is precisely what is happening. Here is perhaps the most surprising aspect. When you surrender completely, you realize you were never bound in the first place. The one who was struggling, the one attempting to control situations, was merely a thought, an illusion. What remains is simple, clear awareness, just this, right here, right now. Once you see this clearly, everything changes without you needing to alter anything. You no longer become ensnared in mental narratives. Thoughts will still arise, but they lose their intensity. Emotions may come and go, but they no longer define you. Challenges will present themselves, but they will not disturb the deep stillness that you are. Most importantly, life continues to progress perfectly without your interference. The universe was never waiting on you to manage it. It has always functioned effortlessly, just as it does now. So, what remains for you to do? Nothing, except to rest in your being. There is no need to fix, strive, or force anything. Simply be. Allow the universe to take care of everything, for whether you acknowledge it or not, it already is. Real freedom is not about doing more. It is about letting everything be as it is. It arises from releasing all attachments and resting in the awareness that is already present and complete. Surrender begins with silence. Not the silence of suppressing thoughts, but the natural quiet that emerges when you cease engaging with them. You do not need to force stillness, just stop feeding the noise. Do not attempt to control your mind. That too is merely another game the ego plays. Let thoughts come and go. Observe them as you would passing clouds without the need to push them away or cling to them. Experiment with this. Set aside time in the mornings and evenings to sit quietly. Do so not to meditate with effort, but simply to exist. When a thought appears, do not chase after it. Do not resist it. Allow it to drift by untouched. Over time, something shifts. The mind quiets, space within you expands, and thoughts lose their power. In that space, surrender deepens. You begin to see that there was never anything to control. Many people only turn towards truth when life becomes painful, when they experience loss, or when suffering feels unbearable. In those moments, they may glimpse reality, but as soon as relief arrives, they revert to old habits, becoming lost once again in worldly distractions. But why wait for suffering to compel you to surrender? Life is fleeting. The body you rely on today may be gone tomorrow. What happens when everything you cling to, your identity, your attachments, your desires, vanishes? If you continue to hold on to the world, you will feel lost, ensnared in an endless cycle of seeking without ever finding. However, if you let go now, before life forces you to, you will discover something beyond all change. Your true self. The awareness that remains untouched through it all. This is not about withdrawing from life. It is about ceasing to cling. The mind continuously reaches for something, an identity, a purpose, a sense of control. Yet, when you turn inward and ask yourself, who is seeking, the illusion begins to dissolve. When a thought arises, inquire, who is experiencing this? Who is this happening to? Who am I? Each time you sincerely ask these questions, your attention shifts inward. Instead of becoming entangled in mental noise, you Begin to notice the silent presence in which everything appears. This practice is known as self-inquiry, the direct path to realization. Make this a daily practice. Start each morning with awareness. Observe your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. Catch yourself when you begin to believe the stories presented by the mind. By initiating your day in this manner, presence will naturally accompany you. In silence, you will come to know reality. Both self-inquiry and surrender lead to the same destination, the stillness of pure awareness. In that stillness, you will recognize the truth. You are not this body. You are not this mind. You are the awareness that observes it all. This realization is not merely intellectual, it is a direct experience. The awareness that nothing needs to be changed and nothing needs to be attained. You were never bound to begin with. You cannot find lasting refuge in the world because the world is always changing. Everything you grasp, your identity, your beliefs, your attachments, will eventually slip through your fingers. Yet awareness, your true nature, has never changed. It has been present in every moment, silently observing. Each night, as you descend into deep sleep, the ego that clings to thoughts and worries dissolves. In that state, there is no struggle, no seeking, no fear, only peace. That same peace is accessible to you while awake. The only difference is that you must willingly let go. Real freedom does not stem from doing more. It arises from relinquishing everything. It emerges from surrendering all attachments and resting in the awareness that is already accessible, the awareness that is already whole. Surrender begins with silence, not the enforced silence of suppressing thoughts, but the effortless silence that manifests when you stop engaging with those thoughts. It is not about attempting to halt your thinking. That, too, constitutes a form of control. Instead, you simply allow thoughts to come and go without reacting to them. The key is in the observation. Tomorrow morning, before your first thought arises, pause. Notice that moment when the mind begins to reclaim its dominion. Just watch. In the evening, as you drift to sleep, observe how this mind relinquishes its grip. Allocate a half hour in the morning and another half hour in the evening to sit quietly, not to meditate with effort, but simply to exist. When thoughts arise, do not follow or engage with them. Allow them to pass like clouds drifting through the sky. Do not permit any thought to command you, whether it elicits pleasure or pain, excitement or terror. Treat them all equally. Allow them to come, let them go. Each moment you practice this, you surrender the mind's grip on you. Over time, you will recognize the illusion for what it truly is. The I thought was never real. It was merely a flickering image in awareness, and when it dissolves, only the truth remains. The self, silent, infinite, and already free. This is the ultimate surrender, when there is no longer any attachment to the false self, when there is no longer any clinging to thoughts, fears, or desires. You are free, not in some distant future, nor after years of effort, but right now. Let go, be still, and stop trying to run the universe. It was never your role.